Ayrton Senna. On May 1st, 1994, the world of motorsport was shattered. Ayrton Senna, the Brazilian Formula One legend, known not just for his blistering speed, but for his intense charisma, was leading the San Marino Grand Prix when his car veered off the track and slammed into a concrete wall at over 180 miles per hour. He was just 34. The crash played out live on television, watched by millions who had followed his rise from the streets of São Paulo to global stardom. For many, Senna wasn't just a driver, he was a symbol of passion, raw talent, and national pride. His death wasn't just a loss to F1, it was a global moment of silence. Investigations later revealed safety flaws that had been ignored for years. As the sport mourned, reforms were finally forced into motion, but no regulation could replace the void he left behind. Senna's story is one of brilliance cut short, a reminder that even the greatest can be lost in a second and that sometimes it takes a tragedy to spark change that should have come long before. Kobe Bryant. On the morning of January 26, 2020, the world lost not just a basketball player, but a global icon. Kobe Bryant, along with his 13-year-old daughter Gianna and 7 others, died when their helicopter crashed into a hillside in Calabasas, California. The tragedy was immediate and incomprehensible. Kobe was not only an NBA superstar with 5 championships and 2 Olympic gold medals, he was also a symbol of relentless drive, of the Mamba mentality that pushed boundaries both on and off the court. In retirement, he became a storyteller, a mentor, and an advocate for women's sports, especially through his daughter's dreams. Kobe's loss shook more than just the basketball world. It was personal, as if we had lost someone we had grown up with. Candlelight vigils, murals, and tributes have taken place around the world, not just to honor a player, but to mourn a father, a visionary, a warrior. Kobe's death reminds us that even legends are finite, and that sometimes the most painful thing about greatness is how suddenly it can disappear. Emiliano Sala. On January 21st, 2019, Emiliano Sala boarded a small private plane bound for Cardiff, Wales, a journey that marked the beginning of a new chapter in his football career. The Argentine striker had just signed for Cardiff City, a Premier League team, and was set to realize his dream of playing at the highest level. But the plane never arrived. Somewhere across the English Channel, contact was lost. Days of searching turned to agony when the wreckage of the plane was found in the water, with Sala's body still inside. He was just 28 years old. The tragedy shocked the football world, not only because of his potential on the pitch, but also because of the gruesome details. A poorly managed flight, a pilot without the proper license, and warnings from Sala himself expressing concern about the plane. His death exposed troubling gaps in sports logistics and athlete safety. But beyond the headlines, it is the story of a humble, hard-working player who rose from obscurity, only to end his journey in silence on dark waters. Marco Simoncelli. On October 23, 2011, the MotoGP world came to a halt. Marco Simoncelli, a charismatic 24-year-old Italian rider with naturally curly hair and a daring riding style, lost control of his bike just minutes into the Malaysian Grand Prix. As he slid across the track, he was hit by 2 other riders, one of whom was his close friend. His helmet flew off immediately after the collision, and the accident was immediately deemed catastrophic. Despite immediate medical attention, Simoncelli died shortly afterwards. His death was not just a racing accident, but a moment that pierced the heart of the sport. Fans loved him not only for his talent, but also for his raw energy, humor, and relentless passion. He was seen as the future of MGPT, a potential world champion on the track. The shock of losing someone so full of life in the middle of a race under the world spotlight reminds everyone that the line between excitement and tragedy in motorsport is very thin. Marco's number 58 is no longer a number, it is a memory, kept at high speed. Lambias. In June 1986, Len Bias was on the rise. A college basketball star at the University of Maryland, he had just been selected number 2 overall in the NBA draft by the Boston Celtics, a team already filled with legends. At 22, he was being hailed as the next big thing, often compared to Michael Jordan for his explosive athleticism and scoring ability. But just 2 days after being drafted, Len Bias was found dead in his dorm room of a cocaine overdose. The news sent shockwaves through the sports world. How could someone so promising just disappear overnight? His death sparked a national debate about drug use, especially among young athletes, and led to the passage of stricter drug laws in the United States. But beyond the headlines and policy changes, Len Bias remains a haunting what if in basketball history, a symbol of potential loss too soon. His story is not just a tragedy, but a cultural turning point, and a reminder that even the brightest futures can be irrevocably shattered in a single moment. Dale Earnhardt. On February 18, 2001, during the final lap of the Daytona 500, NASCAR lost an iconic figure. Dale Earnhardt, known as the Intimidator, was struggling for position when his car crashed and slammed head-on into the wall at over 150 miles per hour. Fans watching live didn't realize the severity of the crash, which seemed routine by racing standards. But just hours later, the unthinkable was confirmed. Dale Earnhardt was dead. He was only 49. His death shocked the world of motorsports. A 7-time NASCAR champion, Earnhardt was more than just a racer. He was a symbol of grit, fearlessness, and blue-collar determination. His black number. 3 cars became an American icon. NASCAR underwent sweeping safety reforms in the aftermath, from HANS devices to track redesigns and safer car construction. Dale's passing was the darkest day in NASCAR history, but it also ushered in a new era of safety. His legacy lives on not just in the titles, but in the lives saved by the changes he made in his final race. Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman was living the American dream, a rising NFL star with a multi-million-dollar contract and a secure future. But after the 9/11 attacks, he gave up fame and fortune to join the United States Army, determined to serve a cause greater than himself. His decision sent shockwaves through the sports world. Tillman became a symbol of patriotism, courage, and sacrifice. But in 2004, during a deployment to Afghanistan, he was killed in a chaotic firefight. Initial reports hailed him as a hero who had died fighting against enemy forces. But the truth was far more painful. Tillman had been shot by friendly fire. The military's attempt to cover up the incident only compounded the tragedy. The subsequent investigation exposed deception, confusion, and political maneuvering. Pat Tillman's story is not just about a fallen soldier, but about integrity, truth, and the cost of idealism. His death exposed hard truths about war, heroism, and the stories we choose to believe. To this day, Tillman is remembered not only for what he gave up, but for the questions he left behind. Flo Hyman was a force to be reckoned with both on and off the volleyball court. A star of the 1980s U.S. women's national volleyball team, she was known for her unmatched athleticism, powerful spikes, and fierce leadership. Standing at over 6 feet 5 inches, she helped lead Team USA to a silver medal at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics and was considered a pioneer for women's sports in the United States. But just 2 years later, while playing professionally in Japan, Flo collapsed mid-game and died suddenly at the age of 31. The cause: a previously undiagnosed genetic disorder called Marfan syndrome, a condition that weakens the body's connective tissue and is often not detected until it's too late. Her death was a heartbreaking shock to the sports world, not only because of her youth and talent, but also because it was preventable. Flo Hyman's passing raised awareness of potential medical risks in elite athletes and highlighted the need for comprehensive health screenings. Her legacy lives on, not only in her medals, but also in the lives she saved. because her loss opened eyes and saved lives. Different from the same silent danger. Andrés Escobar. In the summer of 1994, Andrés Escobar was supposed to return home a hero. The Colombian defender had just represented his country at the FIFA World Cup in the United States. But in a group stage match against the hosts, he accidentally kicked the ball into his own net, helping to send Colombia into elimination. Days later, in his hometown of Medellin, Escobar was shot dead in a parking lot, shot 6 times. He was just 27 years old. The murder shocked the world. An on-field mistake led to an off-field death, a horrifying reminder of the dangerous nexus between sport, national pride, and the criminal underworld. At the time, Colombian football was heavily influenced by drug cartels, and rumors spread that Escobar's death was linked to gambling losses by powerful figures. Known for his humility, sportsmanship, and nicknamed the Gentleman, Escobar wrote a letter urging fans to remain calm and united after the World Cup. Instead, his funeral drew tens of thousands. His story is one of the darkest moments in soccer history when a match becomes a death sentence.